come back along the route that they drove. Okay, and we'll point out the key places, and we'll stop and jump out where the major sighting was, and talk about all that. All right. So that's the plan. We're heading to New Caney. All right, let's go. So here we are in New Caney. This is where Betty Cash and Vicky Landrum and their son went to dinner. This was, of course, back in 1980. It was December 29th, and after dinner they were driving home at about 9 p.m. So in December it gets dark around here at right about 6 o'clock. Here in December. So they were full 3 hours after dark. It was solid nighttime, right? And of course this was, 38 years ago, but it's right around here somewhere. It's not here anymore is what I understand. So otherwise we would have started there. So they started here, and like I said, it was a full 3 hours after dark, so it was solid dark. And of course this is 38 years ago. All of this was just the tiniest town back then. And the road that we're about to go down, we're going to follow the route that they followed, to go home. We're not going to go all the way to Dayton because really, honestly, after the site of where all the main stuff happened, there's not much that happened after that. They just drove home. We're going to follow it for about another halfway back to their home. And there was a couple of other people who witnessed the helicopters and all that stuff along then. So if I can make sure I point that out, I'll point out where those things happened. But beyond that, they just drove on home. There's nothing to see. So that's what we're going to do. And again, they started here, and so here we are. We're going to follow their route.
Do we know the names of the other eyewitnesses?
Yes, there are. I don't have it here, I don't think, on this. I do have some. I've got a police officer here, Detective Lamar Walker, and also, I'm not sure I wrote it here, so you can look there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But if you go to the page that I put together that brought you to here, there's some links there. In particular, there's something called Blue Line, Blue Wave, Blue something. It's about the third link down. They have an extremely extensive breakdown of all this, the names of all the people, the witnesses, the bios. I mean, they got, that is the mother load of information. So please do follow that. Okay, we're going to head on out. Anybody got any other questions before we go? Yes, the son, it was actually a grandson. It was Cash's, I believe, Cash's grandson. Yes, he stayed in the car. No, he was still kind of, they were all sick afterwards. They all had, diarrhea and, and stomach pains and stuff like that, including him.
What kind of vehicle was it? What kind of vehicle were they in?
What was it? It was like a Cutlass. What was it? I thought I had that here. Yeah, it was like a Cutlass. Vicky's Dayton, Texas Oldsmobile Cutlass. Yes. All right, let's go. Thank you. Extra witnesses was off to that side over there. They saw the helicopters and all that stuff later, right? They didn't see the UFO, but they saw the helicopters. And I believe that's where the officer and his son were, or a hunter and his son were back over there somewhere. So that was right off to that side, back in these woods.
Oh, okay.
Of course, now it's part of Houston.
Right, yeah. And keep in mind, none of this stuff was here. This was all just road, a really narrow 2-lane road and trees.
And a bingo hall.
I mean, because,
And a bingo hall.
we got all the way to Inland. All within this year.
I mean, why would they drive out that far for bingo when out of Dayton, you've got Baytown, you've got Bellevue, you've got...
Okay, all right. So right here is where they first saw the lights in the sky, right up over this way. But Intercontinental Airport is about 35 miles from here, and that way. And they believed that when they first saw it, that it was just an airline you know, an airplane heading to the airport. They didn't have any idea there was anything weird. But it was right over here up above these trees and high enough at that time that they mistook it for an airplane. But that was right here. So right about here, they had another sighting of the object right up, again, over the trees over there. And again, they still at this point thought it was just an aircraft. They did not think anything strange about it or whatever. You can see this is such a narrow road even now, 38 years later. At the time, this was such a tiny little road, and you know, all this thick forest all around. They could just barely see something up through the trees. Really didn't think much about it.
It died over the road though, wasn't it, eventually?
Not here, yeah. We're going to stop there and actually get out.
So wait a minute, I didn't go get some things.
Yes, up here, Michigan.
It was like it was falling. Be going down this road, trees like
Yeah, I wish I could. I've got to go bad.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get out here, but this is the site right here, this road right over here. We'll get out and talk about it outside.
I'm sure.
I got my boots.
Get home, get some rest, and you want to go to different So if you stay cool over there, I'm going to give you a call back when we get back to this house.
That's Jupiter right there.
Okay.
Really, just right over there? So you've been right here the whole time?
I thought it was down there by where we stopped the first time. Did you move to this area in 1980 on December?
In 1980 on December?
I moved here 4 years ago.
Ann lives right down here at the end of the street.
Oh, yeah?
Well,
Nice.
all right, can everybody hear me?
No, I didn't.
All right, so they were driving along the same way we were going, and they stopped right here, as best we can tell from the records. And the object was in the middle between this street and that street right there. So it was right there in the sky right there. And the description that we have, here's some, for those of you who can see it, this is Vicky's drawing of it, and this is the kid's drawing right here. So they described it as a diamond-shaped metallic with lights around it and fire coming out of the bottom. And the heat, well here, let me read what it says here so I do it justice. It says here, Landrum told Cash to stop the car, fearing they would be burned if they approached any closer. However, her opinion of the object changed quickly. Born-again Christian, she now interpreted the object as the second coming of Jesus Christ, telling Colby the son or the grandson, that's Jesus, he will not hurt us. Okay, so they considered turning the car around, but abandoned the idea because the road was too narrow. I mean, keep in mind, you know, it's like this road back then was like it was back there. The trees right there are so narrow. And so she presumed the car would get stuck in these shoulders on either side. When we get back on, if you look down, man, that ditch is right there. And if you look at the picture, they both drew these deep ditches on either side. That's exactly how it is over there. I tried to pull off myself when I drove this a week ago. You can't do that over there. There had been rains that evening, so the ground was soft, so they were really worried their car would get stuck down in there. So Cash and Landrum got out of the car to examine the object. I mean, it was right there. They got out and walked over there. Colby was terrified. He did stay in the car. Landrum got back in to comfort him. That's right. Okay. Let's see. Cash remained outside, mesmerized by the bizarre sight, it says. Okay. And here is the description from a guy named Jeremy Clark, who did a bunch of research on this and wrote a book and all that. The object was intensely bright, and a dull metallic silver was shaped like a huge upright diamond about the size of a water tower, the Dayton water tower, with its top and bottom cut off so they were flat rather than pointed. And small blue lights ringed the center, and periodically over the next few minutes the flames shot out of the bottom. Flames shot out of the bottom, flaring outward, creating the effect of a large cone. Every time the fire dissipated, the UFO floated a few feet downwards towards the road, but when the flames blasted out again, the object would rise about the same distance. So right here, there are reports that I've heard, rumors, that the road itself was burned and that some, random military, some people that, like your Men in Black or something showed up and tore up the road. I was hoping we would actually see a piece of road that looked like it had been torn up and replaced, but that's not here. This whole road has been repaved since then. And I couldn't find any good evidence or photos anywhere of that having happened. I think it's just a rumor. So
there's a special, it was on Unsolved Mysteries, and it showed the piece of the road before they repaved it here with a section cut out.
Did they? Because I looked, I couldn't find it.
This road's been taken over 2 times this year.
Yeah.
2 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The whole.
So whose account was that you were just reading?
This was the witness's account to a guy named, whatever I said, Jeremy or Jerome, whatever, who wrote a book on it. Jerome Clark. Yeah, so they both felt the heat, and the car was so hot that when Landrum went to get back in the car, she had to use her dress to open the handle because it was burning her hand. And when she got in, she leaned on the dash, and it was that vinyl, from the old Oldsmobile, and her hand made an imprint, which again was apparently visible for weeks afterwards in the dash. Again, I couldn't find any photos of that. It's written in here, and it's written in several accounts, but I couldn't find any photos of it.
As far as the helicopters go, was that like right at the same time, or it was a little bit later that they showed up?
So apparently, as they stood here and watched it, they couldn't go by. It was there in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
So it began to rise, and helicopters came and flew off with it in that direction.
Okay.
And once it rose up out of the road, they were able to get back in and move on. And from there, there's one more site further down where they said they could look back that way and still see the helicopters. And there are many, many people who claim, in fact, there was a guy who showed up tonight. He saw our signs on the side of the road. He pulled into the property and he came up and talked to me. He says, look, I lived here then, and those helicopters came over my house. I saw them. And I said, oh, you got to stop it. You got to stay and tell everybody. He says, no, I got to go.
The guy that wrote the book that you were talking about, I think in that book, what was that author's name who wrote that?
This guy, Jeremy Jerome.
He said that there were some sightings of those helicopters as far east as the Louisiana-Texas border.
Okay.
This way.
What he's saying, for those of you who can't hear, is that there were a number of reports that say those helicopters were seen as far over as the Louisiana border. Yeah.
Following the same
But I'm telling you, a guy showed up at our thing tonight because he saw our signs on the side of the road and said that those helicopters absolutely came over his house and he would love to stay, but he had somewhere he had to be, so he just wanted to tell us that he'd seen it and he had to turn around and go. He had his wife in the car with him. But
living here, I live right next door to
Y'all be
her.
careful, people drive crazy up here.
We've seen the Chinook helicopters several times. They still fly out here.
Yeah, we see Blackhawks around here all the time.
Yeah, they're out here all the time.
That's right. I forgot about the one in Beaumont. And then there's two in Louisiana.
Does anybody own Chinooks?
And they land the Chinooks.
The police officer said he saw it.
Yeah, I was in there.
And then the army or whatever denied that.
right. So there was, yeah, Colby said 23, Cash-Landrum Colby, one of them counted 23 helicopters. 23. The police officer, Detective Lamar Walker, claimed that he saw 12.
Okay.
But in any case, you have credible witnesses, police officers, other people all around. But the Army denied, the military denied that they had anything to do with it at all. All right, that's it. This is a Cash-Landrum site.